In the rigorous discipline of structural engineering, scientists deliberately subject advanced materials to extreme stress tests. They apply crushing weights, blistering temperatures, and violent vibrations to steel beams and carbon fibers, pushing them relentlessly until they finally fracture and snap. It is only by discovering exactly where a structure fails that engineers can understand its true physical limitations. Astrophysicists perform a very similar procedure, but their laboratory spans 13.8 billion light-years, and the structure they are testing is the fundamental mathematical model of the universe. For decades, the standard cosmological framework withstood every observational stress test we threw at it. Our equations accurately predicted the cosmic microwave background, the distribution of dark matter, and the slow, methodical formation of early galaxies. However, recent data transmitted from the darkest sectors of deep space has finally triggered a catastrophic structural failure in our theories. The instrument of this destruction is a faint, glowing red anomaly officially catalogued as MOM-Z14. Nestled at the absolute perimeter of the observable universe, this entity holds the undisputed title as the most distant confirmed galaxy ever recorded. Yet, its record-breaking distance is merely a footnote. The true crisis lies in its physical impossibility. MOM-Z14 is too vast, too luminous, and too chemically corrupted for the era it occupies. Today, we will dissect the mechanical failure of our cosmological models, explore the extreme physics of early starlight, and confront the unsettling reality that the universe was building giants long before it was theoretically permitted to do so. To appreciate the sheer difficulty of identifying the MOM-Z14 anomaly, one must understand the formidable camouflage deployed by the expanding cosmos. We are not merely looking across a vast, empty distance, we are attempting to peer through a dynamic, stretching fabric. When the primordial stars within MOM-Z14 first ignited, they unleashed a torrent of fierce, high-energy ultraviolet radiation. Under normal circumstances, this energetic light would easily register on traditional optical telescopes. However, as those photons embarked on a journey lasting over 13.5 billion years, the underlying architecture of space actively dilated beneath them. This metric expansion of space acts as a relentless stretching mechanism. As space expands, the physical wavelength of the traveling light is forcefully elongated. What begins as a tight, energetic ultraviolet wave is dragged across the electromagnetic spectrum, shifting into the visible red, and eventually being stretched so severely that it falls completely off the visible chart, becoming low-energy infrared heat. Physicists term this degradation cosmological redshift. This Doppler veil effectively cloaked the earliest galaxies, rendering them entirely invisible to the legendary Hubble Space Telescope, which primarily operated in the visible light spectrum. Piercing this veil required the construction of a technological masterpiece, the James Webb Space Telescope. To capture the degraded thermal signatures of the early universe, JWST's primary mirror was crafted from 18 hexagonal segments of beryllium, coated in a microscopic layer of pure gold for maximum infrared reflectivity. Furthermore, to prevent the telescope's own internal heat from blinding its sensors, it operates behind a massive sunshield, utilizing advanced cryocolors to plunge its instruments to a staggering -266 degrees Celsius, just fractions of a degree above absolute zero. It was through this freezing, golden, beryllium eye that scientists scoured the cosmos' deep field and identified the distinct signature of MOM-Z14. The data revealed a redshift value exceeding Z equals 14.3. This specific mathematical coordinate translates to a profoundly early timestamp. We are intercepting light that was emitted roughly 280 to 290 million years after the Big Bang. At this incredibly infantile stage, the cosmos was a dense, suffocating fog of neutral hydrogen. The universe was not supposed to be capable of producing massive structures. Yet, the beryllium eye did not blink. The data was flawless. The confirmation of MOM-Z14's existence immediately sparked a severe crisis regarding gravitational mechanics and mass assembly. The orthodox, universally accepted theory of galaxy formation relies heavily on the slow accumulation of dark matter. In the early universe, normal matter, the hydrogen gas required to build stars, was too hot and chaotic to simply collapse into galaxies on its own. It required an invisible scaffolding. Massive, invisible clouds of dark matter had to slowly pull together over hundreds of millions of years, creating deep gravitational wells. Only when these dark matter halos grew massive enough could they successfully drag in the surrounding hydrogen gas, allowing it to cool, compress, and eventually ignite into stars. This process is agonizingly slow. It is the cosmic equivalent of building a towering cathedral by hauling individual stones by hand. MOM-Z14 obliterates this slow growth paradigm. The infrared photometry returned by JWST reveals an extraordinarily luminous and physically expansive object. The galaxy boasts an effective radius spanning hundreds of light years, and its extreme brightness is not the result of a singular, feeding supermassive black hole. The spectroscopic data proves that the luminosity is generated by a vast, distributed population of young, hypermassive stars. The total stellar mass is estimated to be well over 100 million times the mass of our Sun. Assembling 100 million solar masses of actively burning stars in fewer than 300 million years constitutes a severe scaffolding deficit. There simply was not enough time in the cosmological calendar for dark matter halos to grow large enough to support this structure through normal, gradual mergers. MOM-Z14 is akin to discovering a fully completed, towering cathedral standing proudly in an empty field, with absolutely no evidence of a foundation having ever been dug. To achieve this level of luminosity and mass so quickly, the star formation efficiency within this galaxy had to be operating at an unprecedented, almost aggressive rate. The primordial gas must have collapsed into stellar cores with a ferocity that current supercomputer simulations cannot replicate without breaking their own programming parameters. While the sheer size and speed of assembly severely strained astrophysical models, the internal chemistry of MOM-Z14 ultimately snapped them in half. To analyze the specific atmospheric makeup of this ancient titan, astronomers utilized JWST's near-infrared spectrograph to dissect the incoming light into its constituent wavelengths, searching for the emission lines of specific elements. In the context of a 290-million-year-old universe, scientists expected to find a pristine, uncontaminated environment consisting exclusively of hydrogen and helium, the only two elements forged in the immediate aftermath of the Big Bang. Instead, the spectroscopic readouts delivered a shocking elemental anachronism. The data confirmed the undeniable, robust signatures of heavy elements, particularly oxygen, and significant traces of nitrogen. In the strict discipline of stellar nucleosynthesis, heavy elements are not simply born, they must be violently manufactured. Elements like oxygen, carbon, and nitrogen are forged exclusively inside the crushing, high-pressure, multi-million-degree cores of massive stars. However, simply forging them is insufficient for detection. For these heavy metals to permeate the interstellar gas of a galaxy and register on our telescopes, the stars that created them must exhaust their nuclear fuel, suffer complete gravitational collapse, and detonate in apocalyptic supernova explosions. Oxygen and nitrogen are, fundamentally, the fusion slag of deceased stellar giants. Detecting this fusion slag at a redshift of 14.3 proves that MOM-Z14 was not merely a nursery for the first generation of stars. It was already a highly polluted, chemically enriched graveyard. For the interstellar medium to be this saturated with heavy elements, an entire generation of massive, primordial stars, the legendary population 3 stars, must have already been born, lived out their furious lives, and detonated. The fact that an entire cycle of stellar birth, nuclear fusion, and explosive death had already occurred and saturated the galaxy within the first 290 million years of time is a staggering violation of previous chemical timelines. It suggests an early universe that operated like a manic, hyper-efficient alchemical forge, furiously churning out the building blocks of complex chemistry almost immediately after the cosmos cooled. As we analyze the stunning chemical and structural data of MOM Z14, we are forced to confront the haunting, melancholic reality of observational cosmology. The object we are studying no longer exists in the state we are observing, and we will never be able to verify its ultimate fate. The majestic red image captured by the James Webb Space Telescope is a 13.5 billion-year-old fossil. Because light has a strict speed limit, we are permanently barred from viewing the present reality of the deep universe. While the photons from MOM Z14 were desperately crossing the void toward our solar system, the universe did not pause. It continued to aggressively expand. Consequently, the physical matter that constitutes this ancient galaxy is no longer 13.5 billion light-years away. It has been carried outward by the relentless stretching of spacetime to a staggering, co-moving distance of over 33 billion light-years from Earth. At that unimaginable distance, the galaxy has lived an entire life completely severed from our view. Did its aggressive, early star formation completely deplete its gas reserves, turning it into a stagnant, dead relic of red dwarf stars drifting silently in the dark? Or did its massive early gravity allow it to act as an apex predator, swallowing thousands of neighboring dwarf galaxies to eventually become an ultramassive elliptical behemoth dominating a modern galaxy cluster? The agonizing truth of astrophysics is that the expansion of the universe guarantees we will never know. The current, adult version of MOM Z14 is receding from us at a velocity that exceeds the speed of light, pushed by the dark energy accelerating the cosmic expansion. It has crossed the cosmological event horizon. No photon emitted by that galaxy today will ever reach Earth, no matter how long we wait. We are eternally analyzing the shadow of a phantom. The discovery and confirmation of MOM Z14 stands as a profound testament to the limits of human knowledge. We proudly construct elaborate mathematical frameworks, confidently chart the chronological history of existence, and assume we have mapped the boundaries of physics. Then, the cosmos casually delivers a faint thermal signature that forces us to tear up the blueprints and start over. This distant galaxy proves that the early universe was not a sluggish, disorganized realm. It was a fiercely efficient, hyperactive crucible capable of forging massive, chemically complex titans in the absolute dark. It reminds us that our equations are not the masters of the cosmos, they are merely temporary patches on a reality that is vastly more complex, chaotic, and magnificent than our primate brains can currently comprehend. We are not the authors of the universe, we are merely its students, frantically taking notes as the expanding void reveals its secrets. As we continue to process these reality-breaking discoveries, a crucial question remains: does the existence of MOM Z14 prove that our understanding of dark matter is entirely incorrect, or does it hint at an undiscovered, exotic force of gravity that dominated the early cosmos? Subject this paradox to your own intellectual stress test and share your deepest astrophysical theories in the comments section below. If you are driven by a relentless desire to explore the absolute edge of human understanding and confront the mysteries that break our scientific paradigms, secure your place in this community by hitting the like button, subscribing, and turning on notifications. The void is deep. The anomalies are multiplying. And we will continue to decode the darkness together.